Hello guys, how are you? Today we're recording video number 11. When McKinsey comes to town. I'm currently in Sousse, in the east of Tunisia, Susa in Arabic. So today we will be talking about the book When McKinsey Comes to Town. So the hidden influence of the world's most powerful consulting firm. So in a world where decisions made at the top echo through the lives of millions, one firm stands out for its unmatched influence and mystique. And this company is, or firm as they like it to be called, is McKinsey and Company. So, what happens when the strategies of the world's most secretive consulting firms unfold behind closed doors of power? Huh? What happened, no? You know? You don't know, huh? You see why you need to listen to my videos? So, today we dive into When McKinsey Comes to Town, which is a revealing book by WALT BOGDANICH and Michael FORSYTHE. I don't know how it's actually pronounced. I read it in the Kindle because I'm reading too many books, and sometimes when I'm traveling it's hard to bring all of the books I'm reading at the same time with me. So this Walt and Michael, they are seasoned investigative journalists that pull back the curtains on McKinsey, exposing how they shape the fates of nations, businesses, and millions of people. So, from influencing government policies to directing corporate strategies, McKinsey's touch can be felt across multiple sectors. But at what cost? And who really benefits from their advice? So, we will uncover the hidden layers of McKinsey's global impact, the ethical battles at play, and what it all means for the rest of us. So I hope you like this journey into the heart of corporate power and influence. So, firstly, let's meet the author. So, who was Walt Bogdanich and Michael FORSYTHE? So, they are not just common journalists, they are seasoned investigators known for their deep dives into complex subjects. So, Walt Bogdanich, a three-time Pulitzer Prize winner, has built his career at the New York Times, where he specializes in investigative journalism that exposes the unseen impacts of powerful institutions on the everyday citizen. So his work has uncovered injustices and corporate misdeeds, bringing out significant public discourse and change. Michael FORSYTHE, on the other hand, he's a fellow New York Times reporter, and he brings his extensive experience on reporting on global businesses and politics, especially in China, where he has revealed the hidden workings of power and wealth. So he can be considered as fearless. So McKinsey and Company is not just any consulting firm. So it's actually a behemoth that has shaped the destiny of Fortune 500 companies and governments worldwide. With over 30,000 employees in more than 130 cities over the world, McKinsey's reach and impact are vast and complex. So McKinsey was founded in 1926, and it was a pioneer management consultant and has been at the forefront of strategic planning of the world's most influential corporations and even nations. So their advice guides CEOs and heads of state to shape markets and forms economic policies across continents. So McKinsey has been working for the public sector and private sector. In the public sector, McKinsey's influence is profound. They have advised on everything from healthcare systems to military procurement. For instance, their strategies have been implemented in national health services in several countries, aiming to increase efficiency but sometimes sparking debates over the impacts on patient care. As well, they've been working for private sector, of course, and in the corporate world, McKinsey's strategies often lead to significant restructuring. So they guide companies through mergers, acquisitions, and cost-cutting measures that can actually redefine industries. So, however, these recommendations sometimes led to massive layoffs or shifts in company culture that are met with resistance from employees and communities. So McKinsey really approaches a combination in cutting edge analytics with deep industry knowledge. So they use vast data analysis to predict trends and outcomes, advising clients on everything from market entry strategies to digital transformation. So they can be focused on the full process. However, McKinsey's operations are not uncontroversial. Their work with the Saudi government and their involvement in the US immigration and customs enforcement policies have really drawn criticism. These instances really raise questions about the ethical boundaries of such influence, especially when public welfare is at stake. So, as McKinsey shapes the future of industries and government, one must ask, what is the balance between strategic advice and ethical responsibility? How much influence should one firm have over the global economy and the lives of ordinary people? Firstly, I will talk about various case studies to give you some examples why they've been considered controversial sometimes. So, one of the most critical case studies involving McKinsey's work was when they consulted Purdue Pharma. They are the maker of OxyContin as one of the things they do, and OxyContin is legitimately prescribed for relief of moderate to severe pain resulting from injuries, bursitis, neuralgia, arthritis, and even cancer. And some individuals even abuse OxyContin for the euphoric effect it produces. It has an effect similar to heroin. So McKinsey advised Purdue on bolstering sales of opioids. What are opioids? Opioids are a class of drugs that derive from natural substances found in the opium poppy plant. Opioids work in the brain in order to produce a variety of effects, including pain relief. As a class of substances, they act on opioid receptors to produce morphine-like effects. So, even as this crisis ravaged communities across the United States, internal documents have revealed strategies that turbocharged or boosted sales despite the devastating addiction rates. So this case raised several ethical questions about the extent consultants should go to serve their clients' interest. Till what point their values are more important than being profitable? If they really care about damaging people's life and having a negative effect, even though sales are increased. The second case study I want to talk about is South African State Power Company. So McKinsey found itself in South Africa embroiled in controversy with Eskom, which is the state power company. So McKinsey was implicated in a corruption scandal involving millions of dollars, which it wasn't the first time. McKinsey initially denied anything wrong, doing wrong stuff, but later agreed to repay fees amid national outrage and investigations into misuse of public funds. So this case illustrates the potential pitfalls of high stakes consulting in volatile governance frameworks. And here we are ourselves, each one of us can think and identify and take our own guesses, but this is some data. So then as well, the number three, the third case study is restructuring of American bankruptcy management. So McKinsey's role in managing some of the largest bankruptcies in American history, such as those of Enron and Delta Airlines. This showcases its significant influence in corporate restructuring. So McKinsey managed some of the largest bankruptcies in American history, such as those of Enron and Delta Airlines. These are big sharks. These are very big companies. So when McKinsey helped these companies navigate financial turmoil, their opaque practices in these processes, especially their own financial interests in the outcomes, drew scrutiny from legal experts and creditors. So these brief case studies, these brief examples, offer a window into the complex dynamics of McKinsey's consulting practices. While they demonstrate an ability to navigate and shape, of course, large-scale corporate and governmental landscapes, they also have some serious questions about the consequences of such influence. It's kind of controversial. It makes us make ourselves some questions. So, when does influence crosses the line into manipulation, and what is the cost of such power, both ethically and socially? So, while McKinsey and Company is renowned for its strategic acumen and business insights, its vast influence inevitably raises profound ethical and moral questions. Not like these dilemmas are at the core of some of the most controversial decisions and strategies implemented by the firms. So McKinsey focuses on operational efficiency and profitability, but sometimes they've been criticized for prioritizing corporate gains over societal welfare. For instance, when advising public sectors like healthcare and education, their recommendations on cost cutting have occasionally led to reduced access to essential services, sparking debates about the balance between efficiency and public good. Again, the dual role of advising both government agencies and private companies in the same sector already presents potential conflicts of interest. So McKinsey advised to governments on policies that could affect industries that also consult for raises questions about whose interests are truly being served. So maybe by consulting public companies, they get some type of confidential information that afterwards might be given to private companies in the same industry, in the same sector, or is used against them or in favor. There are many ways of seeing and thinking this, but it's actually interesting the fact that they are helping private and public companies in the same sector. Normally, public corporations have very confidential information. Of course, they will have confidential contracts and everything, but still, it creates some question, no? It makes us think. So McKinsey's hallmark, confidentiality, agreements, and secretive culture contribute to a lack of transparency that complicates the assessment of their impact. So this secrecy often shields their strategies from public scrutiny, we could say, leading to concerns about accountability, especially when public resources and policies are involved. But the firm's McKinsey's involvement in managing or advising during global crises, such as the opioid epidemic or the financial crisis, really underscores the need for ethical guidance in consultancy. And critics argue that McKinsey's strategies in this area sometimes exacerbate some problems rather than mitigating them. So, these ethical and moral quandaries invites us to reflect on the broader role of consulting firms like McKinsey in our global society. Are they mainly facilitators of corporate and governmental agendas, or they really have a greater responsibility, they bear a greater responsibility on the public or to the public? So as McKinsey shapes the policies and strategies of our world's most powerful entities, we must ask, what is the ethical boundary for such influence? And how can we ensure that this power is exercised with integrity and transparency? But I think this could be applied to many large companies nowadays. Most of them, maybe. So, even to all governments, everything. So, this journey of undertaking when McKinsey comes to town really reveals a complex web of influence that transcends industries and borders. McKinsey's footprint is truly global, with operations affecting governments, corporations, and economies worldwide. The firm not only shapes on corporate strategies but also advises on national policies, demonstrating an influence that extends far beyond mere business consulting. As well, something that is kind of funny, one of the primary conflicts arises from McKinsey consulting competing companies within the same industry. So the firm advises rivals on strategy, operations, and market positioning, leading to people being concerned about how proprietary information is handled and whether McKinsey can maintain impartiality. Imagine if McKinsey was consulting Coca-Cola and Pepsi at the same time. It's quite funny if you think about it. McKinsey, again, they have been operating and working with the healthcare system, education sectors. For example, McKinsey had an impact where their data-driven analysis are used to reform school systems. While these reforms often aim to improve educational outcomes and efficiencies, sometimes lead to controversial measures like the promotion of standardized testing and performance-based funding, which can detract from holistic educational goals. Again, they even had impact on economic policies and national budgets. They recommended significant shifts in national budgets, favoring certain industries or initiatives, but also drawing criticism for overlooking the needs of vulnerable sectors of society. So I want to highlight some points in order to conclude this video and not make it too long. Firstly, I want to highlight the vast influence McKinsey has. McKinsey reach extends deeply into both the corporate and public sectors, advising on everything from market strategies to national policies. This influence shapes economies and lives worldwide, often behind a veil of secrecy. Then, the operation of McKinsey raises significant ethical and moral questions most of the time because the firm's commitment to a client confidentiality and its strategic recommendations can conflict with the public interest. Of course, raising debates about the balance between profit and welfare. Then, these conflicts of interest are a recurring theme. McKinsey's dual roles, advising both private companies and government bodies, which create potential biases that could favor businesses' interests over public good. Even there is a critical call for more transparency and regulation in consulting. Stakeholders from all sectors are really pushing for reforms that could hold consulting firms accountable and ensure their advice does not undermine societal and environmental standards. So, the revelation from McKinsey comes to town challenges us really to consider the implications of unchecked influence in consulting. They compel us to ask how such power should be managed and regulated to align with the broader goals of equity, transparency, and accountability. So, as we reflect these thoughts, these insights, what do you guys think? What changes do you think are necessary to ensure that these firms act responsibly? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And what do you think? You think, is it sustainable? Is it decent? Knowledge is power. So educate yourself about the roles and impacts of consulting firms like McKinsey. Listen it a couple of times, even read the book if you want. Me personally, it wasn't one of the best books I've read, but it can be good if you want to get some information. Again, the summary is found in the description. You can have a look at it. 10 minutes, you can get a nice idea of what this book is about. So yeah guys, see you soon. I hope you like it. مع السلامة يا حبيبي. From تونس، من تونس حبيبي، فهمت يعني.